Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Spotlight on HR. You will recognise the lovely Dave Wynn from Heart Centred Leaders from the session that we did just last week around his own style of coaching, where he talked really passionately about music mapping, transformational coaching. We went into the deep coaching part. And when I came off the Spotlight session, I was saying to Dave, do you know what, actually, there's more that I want to ask. So I've kind of, no, I didn't actually need to twist your arm. You're a very willing participant.
It's like, come on.
Come on, bring on. So I guess what I'm looking for, Dave, is for you to kind of bring this to life a bit for me. And can you maybe share with the network some real life examples about what this whole kind of concept of your form of coaching is? So when you're talking about music transformational coaching, what does it look like? What does it feel like? And probably, for the business leaders out there that will be watching this, what impacts have they seen from working and engaging with somebody like you?
Cool.
So I'm not asking for a lot, Dave. You just have to share it all. I want it all.
So I'll draw on experiences with some of the people that I've worked with, and I would segment them out into people that I've worked with on a longer term basis.
Yep.
And people that I've just done this as a one-off with.
Okay.
If that works.
Definitely.
So from a longer term perspective, one of my shining examples is my client, Chris. So Chris is, like many of the people I work with, an extraordinary human being, an amazing young man who took on the running of his dad's business at the age of 22 when at the age of 18, when his dad suddenly passed away, like completely out of the blue.
Yeah. And
it's a credit to his dad that he put enough in him that he then felt able to go and run that business without ever having actually worked in it.
Wow.
So it was from the ground up 7-figure telecoms business. When we met, he was 22 at the time. He was still living at home with his mum.
Mm-hmm.
He was unaware of an anxiety that he had every time he left his house to go and get in his car, because the image of him as being the CEO of this business didn't match up with the boy living at home with his mum.
Yeah.
He had a circle of friends who weren't really supportive of where he was at in life. He spent virtually all of his time in the business managing.
Yeah.
He hadn't really been taught how to lead, and he didn't really trust that things could happen without him being there.
Yeah.
So in our very, very first conversation, this anxiety emerged, and that really captured his interest and then led on to us working together. And we've now been working together for 2 years. And one of the big things initially that we did was to help him to get a handle on some other stuff in his life. Like his dad's estate still wasn't wrapped up. That was 4 years down the line.
Mm-hmm.
There was some relationship issues with family. But really one of the key things was the business and the estate, really. And the estate kind of ended up resolving itself.
Okay.
But I think it was no coincidence that it happened to resolve itself at the time when we were working together.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
But with the business, what was magical that we did was to empower him to empower his team, which freed up 80% of his time.
Mm-hmm.
So basically 4 out of 5 days a week we freed up for him.
Wow.
Which was phenomenal. And through that, then in that space, we got to then work on and draw out and connect with who he really is, because he was really just being another version of his dad, because that's all he knew. So we got to discover who he really is, and who he really is someone who expresses himself through music. He's actually a really, really talented rapper.
Right. Okay.
He's created a record label. He created a pan-Asian street food business that was more of an experiment, but gained so much from it. He is on the path now to being absolutely authentically who he is, and that will be in the music space. Yeah. But for now, and as part of, I guess, 5 to 10 year project, we're working on helping him to grow the original core business, which is now pivoting into an IT company. He's on the verge of making a second acquisition since we've been working together.
Amazing. So quite a holistic approach with that particular example. So, I'm assuming, and certainly some people who have reached out to me independently, having seen the last Spotlight with you, had asked, is it like a holistic program, or is it just if you've got a work problem or a business problem, whatever you want to define that as? But from what you're describing there, I think I know the answer to that question, but from what you're describing there, that was very much holistic. It wasn't just what was going on in that person's work life. It was also what was going on in their home life, their emotional, their mental, everything. Yeah?
Yeah, exactly. It is, for me, it's working with the whole person and everything that comes along with that. And when we did the music mapping experience together, because that was now about a year and a half down the line from us working together, what we uncovered through that was absolutely magical, because we got to experience the reason why music is really powerful for him. Because for him specifically, he sees music as almost like a person. It's a person that will always be there for him, because his dad sadly can't anymore. I always get emotional when I speak about that. And
it reminds me a wee bit, Dave, of when you talked about actually your own journey, and you talked about finding your thing, and how that was that was transformational. It was kind of almost evolving. And from what you're saying there, without knowing the person you're referring to, it's almost as though through working with you, they've managed to overcome so many of the issues that were around them, but they've actually found their core, their thing, and why their purpose to a certain extent. And okay, it might not be there right now, but they're heading down that road.
Yes, exactly. And also we got to discover that for him, because he's such an incredible student of music, he finds it difficult to have the depth of conversations with people about music around him, because no one knows music like he does.
Yeah.
So part of his why is to actually create more connections with people that he can connect with on that level. So to grow his business, that's going to create the wealth and the security ultimately that's going to allow him at the same time to really expand into who he really is, which is a really talented musician, producer. I think he's going to go on and support other artists, but he's going to do, his life will be about so much more than that as well. His true purpose. And so, you're right. It is about supporting people to connect with their highest purpose, their deepest why, those places of absolute deep vulnerability, because that's where you find it. And this is what the work and the experience does. It opens up that space to let go of your limitations, to connect with possibilities of who you could really be and feel it in the present moment, but also expand into it at the same time. Because in the work that we've done, it's been a series of levels, actually. It's like, I take him to this level, I then expand my belief of what's possible for him, and then he chases that, and then I expand again. So he's never going to reach where I see him.
You'll always be ahead of him.
Exactly. Yeah.
Within sight, but out of touch.
Totally. Yeah.
Okay. So listen, that goodness me, that is an amazing example, and I can see just by listening to you how much you've benefited from being that person's coach as well. It's almost a two-way process, isn't it?